Tomorrow, when the war began. What happened? Invasion of Australia by hostile soldiers. When did it happen? Unknown. Where it happened? District of Wirrawee, Australia. Tomorrow, when the war began was a dystopian science fiction novel written by John Marsden, briefly summarized by Howard K. Me. Setting. The incursion took place in Wirrawee at an unspecified date. It was a wild area of Australia with many unexplored geographical areas. This advantage of the land allowed Ellie and their friends to stay safe and hidden from the enemy. There are two notable locations in Wirrawee, a bridge and a valley called Hell. The bridge connects the harbor inland, which is vital to the enemy invasion, and Hell is what sheltered the group from enemy presence and acted as their home base. Brave resistors of the enemy. These 7 brave teenagers resisted the enemy and are the main characters. Ellie, protagonist of the event and narrator of the book John Marsden wrote to record the invasion. A good leader, but is often confused by strong emotions. Corey, Ellie's friend. Corey was the one who suggested the camping trip to Hell and so indirectly saved her friends' lives. Something happened to her at the end of the book. Homer, Ellie's neighbor and friend. A natural leader of the group, but often looks to Ellie for assistance. He planned various acts of sabotage against the enemy. Brave resistors of the enemy, too. Fiona, referred to as Fee, she's Ellie's friend and often goes on missions with her. She accomplishes the tasks assigned to her well. Lee, a lonely boy before the war, Lee proves himself to be an able guerrilla fighter. He was a kind and thoughtful person. Robin, friend of Ellie and Corey's. Even though she's a pacifist, Robin verbally supports Ellie and her friends' attacks on the enemy. Kevin, the final member of the group, Kevin thinks of himself as a tough guy, but often could not control himself under stressful situations. Nevertheless, he is a valuable resistance fighter. A brief synopsis. In the district of Wirrawee, Australia, Corey and Ellie, teenagers living in the district, suggested a camping trip into Hell, a wild valley cut off from civilization, to their friends, Homer, Fee, Lee, Robin, and Kevin. The friends agreed, and they spent 5 days having fun camping. When they returned, however, they found their homes deserted, their pets dead, and their district devoid of civilians, and was instead swarming with soldiers. On the run, how are they going to survive? Can they drive out the soldiers? And will our country ever be free again? It started with 7, it will end with 5. Connecting. There's a very somber connection that I could make to tomorrow when the war began. When the group suffered a loss near the end of the book, the situation is just like when people in the world, whether they're soldiers on peacekeeping duty or civilians caught in a crossfire, die and are mourned by their relatives and loved ones. It is very hard for anyone to deal with. This reminds us that war is not a game and that people could lose lives, terribly affecting all those around him or her. War should not be joked around, and we need to work towards eliminating war in the world. This is a text-to-world connection. What's the story trying to teach? I think the main idea of tomorrow, when the war began, is how freedom is one of the greatest gifts that anyone could have. When Ellie and their friends were robbed of their rights that they normally took for granted, they decided to fight for it to take it back, rather than sit on their hands and do nothing. This shows that anyone is willing to do whatever is necessary to keep their freedom, even if they're just teenagers. You should read it. Tomorrow, When the War Began is a serious book with some deep stuff, but it is also an enjoyable read with exciting action and a suspenseful plot. An exciting book to intermediate students. Thank you for listening to my book report and have a nice day.